Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. There are many ways of learning grammar. Learning the rules of English grammar might be challenging initially, but once they are understood, learned and implemented, both in written and spoken form, it's fun. Today's video titled Quick English Part 3 is on sentences. Let's all wear our thinking caps and learn the basics of this topic. Well, the sentence on the screen is the sun rises in the east. The sun is being spoken about, so it is the subject. Rises in the east. It tells us about the sun, so it is the predicate. Both the parts of the above sentence combine to make complete sense. So a set or group of words which makes complete sense is called a sentence. So in this particular um, picture, we at least are in a position to differentiate between the subject and the predicate. So in a given sentence, the subject denotes the person or thing about which something is said. The predicate is what is said about the person or thing, denoted by the subject. Look at the following examples. Dogs bark. Dogs is a subject. Bark is a predicate. The sun gives light. The sun is the subject. Gives light is predicate. The child is dead. The main word in a subject is always a noun. As you can see in these three sentences, dogs, the sun, the child. These are the subjects and they all are nouns. Whereas the main word in a predicate is always a verb. So in the above sentences, the verbs are bark, gives, ease. Now we have different types of sentences. Let's deal with the first type of sentence called simple sentences. The example is the joker is happy. The joker is the subject because we are talking about the joker. Is happy is predicate. What is spoken about the subject is predicate. The above sentence is a simple sentence as it has only one subject, that is the joker, and one predicate, that is happy. Now let's see the second type of sentences called the compound sentences. Example of a compound sentence is the sun was bright and we could see our shadows. Is a subject. Was bright is the predicate. We is the subject. The other part is the predicate. So we have the previous sentence in two parts. Each part has a subject and a predicate. The first part has a subject and a predicate. The second part also has a second subject and a predicate. So the previous example was the sun was bright and we could see our shadows. So when we separate this sentence into two parts, each part has a subject and a predicate, and each part of the given sentence is independent of each other. So the each part is called a clause. Each clause in each sentence makes good sense by itself and hence can stand by itself as a complete sentence. For example, the sun was bright is a complete sentence. We could see our shadows is also a complete sentence. So both the parts of the given sentence are independent of each other and they make a complete sense, and they are independent sentences though they are the parts of the sentence. Each clause is therefore independent of the other and is called a principal or main clause. A sentence which is made of main clauses is called a compound sentence. So the given sentence is a compound sentence because the two clauses in the given sentence are independent of each other and each part of the sentence is in itself a complete sentence. Now let's see what a complex sentence is. Example is, they experimented when the teacher came. So we are breaking this sentence into two parts. They experimented when the teacher came. Now, which part of the sentence do you think is independent? Is A complete sentence or B a complete sentence? There is a subject, experimented is predicate. When the teacher came, the teacher is the subject, came is a predicate. As you know, predicate has always a verb. Each part contains a subject and predicate of its own and forms part of a large sentence. So each part is therefore a clause. Now, what is the difference between the sentence that was used to explain compound sentence and this sentence, which is the example of complex sentence? The difference is this: the clause they experimented makes good sense by itself and hence can stand by itself as a complete sentence. When we divide the sentence into two parts, where the first part is they experimented and the second part is when the teacher came, both the sentences have one subject and one predicate, but the difference between a compound sentence and a complex sentence is they experimented makes complete sense and is in itself a complete sentence, whereas when the teacher came, I don't think that makes a complete sense. The clause when the teacher came cannot stand by itself and make good sense. It is dependent on they experimented. Therefore, it is called a dependent or subordinate clause. So now we are in a position to differentiate between the principal clause or main clause and dependent or subordinate clause. The principal clause here is they experimented and it is a complete sentence. The subordinate clause is when the teacher came. It is just not a complete sentence and it depends on the previous part of the sentence called they experimented. So subordinate clause is dependent on the main clause or the principal clause. So such a sentence is called a complex sentence. So if we go back to the previous slides, if we remember, in compound sentence, both the parts of the sentences are independent of each other and each part is a complete sentence. Whereas in a complex sentence, one part is a complete sentence, the other part is not a complete sentence, and the other part is dependent on the first part to make complete sense. So this kind of a sentence is called a complex sentence. Now let's see this. Let's identify the types of sentences as per our understanding. So we all can try it out. We can identify the type of sentence according to the clauses. We can divide the sentence into two parts and then see whether both the parts are independent of each other or is one part dependent on other.